Okay, so for Wednesday, April the 1st, 2020, you are getting your lesson on collection practices and some of the rules they have to follow. You need to understand there are all kinds of rules, but I'm just going to go over a couple here for you. First of all, when a collection agency is harassing you, that is illegal. One of the most common ways for them to harass you is to make repeated calls. 10, 15, 20 calls in a day is harassment. You need to make sure that you call them on that. Also, another way of harassing you is to call you outside of the legal times. It is 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. that they're allowed to call you, and make sure you understand that that is in your time zone. So even if they're calling from California, it doesn't matter because ultimately that is not your time zone, and so the rules still apply. You can also call or tell them to not call you at work. That is legal to do, and they are not allowed to call you at work if you ask them to do that. So just make sure you are aware of that as well. Technically, you're allowed to um, uh, write a cease and desist letter. A cease and desist letter basically is a letter that says that you don't want any more um, communication with them. This is really honestly a very bad idea. You don't want to do this because if you send them a cease and desist letter, it's pretty much asking them to file a lawsuit. A cease and desist letter is like a legal document, and so if they're not allowed to uh, talk to you about this, that is a problem for them because they need their money. You owe them money, and if you don't want to talk to them, then they're probably going to file a lawsuit, and that's obviously something you'd want to avoid. And then finally, something else that they can't do, just so you are aware, they cannot garnish your wages. Um, Garnishing wages basically means going through your employer to just getting money straight out of your paycheck. That would be taken from you. The IRS can do this. Some student loans can do this without court action, but no, they can't do this. They can threaten to do this. And by the way, is actually against the law for them to threaten it because they know that that is illegal, so they can't do it. So in worst case scenarios, I shouldn't say worst case scenarios, you can't pay anything, but in really, really, really bad scenarios, you can't maybe even pay your debt, not even the minimum payments. Now, is the goal to pay the minimum payment? No, we don't want to do that. It just means you're in debt longer. That is a horrible idea. But in tough times, say for some people maybe coming up here, right? If we're off work for a while, um, and we can't make our minimum payments in this COVID-19 experience that we're in. If we can't make our minimum payments, we should use what's called the pro rata plan. Pro rata means fair share. And so if I have many debts and I have minimum payments on them, like I have for, say, a credit card debt or something like that, and I can't even afford to pay the minimum payment, I can use the pro rata form. Now, I have an explanation of a pro rata formula on your screen right now, but the concept of a pro rata formula is you give every one of your creditors their fair share, which means that if they are 10% of the debt, they get 10% of your disposable income, which means all your income outside of your four walls. And so that is your therefore your disposable income. If they're 50% of your total debt, that means that they should get 50% of your disposable income and you're paying them their fair share. Now, again, is this going to meet the standard of the minimum payment? The answer to that is no. However, you can use this in desperate times because it's kind of been proven. Dave Ramsey has used this, talked about this over and over, that you can use the pro rata formula to pay your debts for about 6 months without being sued. So that means you can go through a pretty long period of hard times without even paying the minimum payment, and they still won't sue you. Especially if you show them your paperwork and how you're using the pro rata formula, they're probably going to be impressed that you do math better than them sometimes. So it's not a bad idea. It's a pretty good idea, to be honest. Now, the last thing I want to talk about for today is the fact that you